The first talk is mine. Is about ETD, some basic introduction to the project, and some hints about the future of ETD. And let me, I will share the screen. This is Filip Walter, and one of the database, I think transit database. So it will be very short. So the origins of Exoplanet Transit Database are in the first decade of our century or millennium. There are many factors. The first observed transit of exoplanet using a small device was made at the beginning or at the end of the last century, and quickly followed other projects for the search of exoplanets like Ogle, Trace-Hat, SuperWasp, and also first satellite to detect and study exoplanets, just Coro. And in the background, our astronomical society, Czech Astronomical Society, started with observations of variable stars of different kind, and continued also because in their history they managed also successful observations, that time visual observations of eclipsing binaries. So they produced maps and predictions, and collected the minima timings, and plot OC diagrams of those variable stars. And at the same time, for everybody, it was affordable. It was beginning to be affordable there was affordable cameras even for us in Czech Republic, which usually was not at the top with. So it was the decade before, it was very expensive for us to buy CCD cameras for individuals, but it started to be affordable that time. So one of our members, Luboš Brat, started to create a web service to support this, and one of the obvious possibilities was also the support of transits. The inspiration came from amateur exoplanet archive made by and maintained, and the other database available at that time was NASA, which evolved to today database. So these are three main persons responsible for creating ETD. It is Luboš Brat, who programmed the web page and services. Ondřej Pejcha programmed the fitting and model of light curves of transits, and Stanislav Podani was the first database administrator. He left that approximately 5 years ago, and finally, after some preparation, 2000 2008, the ETD was launched for public. It was at the end of the year, so basically 2009 is the first full year. And one year later, the paper was published in New Astronomy. This is the basic paper about ETD and should be cited when using ETD services. So what are the components of ETD? I think many of you know, but should be mentioned. It's the Exoplanet catalog for with exoplanet ephemerides and other important data about them. There is transit predictions for users, for observers, and you can or observers can upload data and then model fit those data and get minimum timings and depths and the duration, and then from that OC diagrams are plotted. So this is the example of transit predictions. It can be individual predictions for one observer for 1 month from exact location, and there is also yearly prediction for individual objects. So you can choose object and get prediction for 1 year. You can see when the transit starts, ends, how depending on your location, at which altitude it is, and after that, during the time, also Kepler and TESS objects of interest predictions have been added. So we have our own model fit of our data. It is based on Occultsman routine published by Casey Mandel and Eric Agel in 2002. It was choose this routine because it was easier to implement and it's quicker because neglects some effects that may affect the data when the transiting exoplanet is substantially larger than 2/10 of star diameter. But our colleagues did tests, and because of usual data quality from amateurs or from ground observations, it is not usually a problem. And fitting algorithm is also non-linear least square fitting algorithm from Lavenberg Marquardt, and we decided that it is better when compared to, for example, some numerical modulation like Monte Carlo, which is for our sources too complicate to use while on web page. So this is example of data entry. So an observer can create login and name, can upload light curve. It is modeled by our algorithm, and mid time, transit duration, and depth is derived from it. And he has also to give some details about his observation, about first the map, which indicates comparison stars. If you want to upload your observations, you have to do it through our side project Treska, which is a project to collect transit light curves, and then they are transferred by administrators to the actual ETD. So from uploaded observations and also from observations derived from literature, we can plot diagrams of mid-time, duration, or depth compared to model or to predictions. Also, our or obtained light curves are judged by automatic data quality index. The best data, usually of the quality of spacecraft or large telescopes, are number one, and most of the amateur observations are between 2 and 4, and the worst, usually incomplete observations or really showing really some trends or some problems are the worst quality 5. There is also possibility to display geometry of predicted or expected geometry and your comparison, how it looks from your data. So while ETD was launched 2008, now is 2022, so it's like 13 years of operation. During that time, more than 10,000 individual transit curves has been observed and uploaded, but it is usually it is only 368 objects that have at least one observation. So the observers usually observed targets that already had observation, which is good because we can see long-term development of light curves, but some interesting objects reachable for amateurs remained neglected, and also some candidates. During that time, over 600 contributors uploaded light curves, and that makes approximately 130 observers per year. ETD also got citations when researchers used our data, and it is usually 10 to 20 citations per year. What was many times said is that at ETD there is no prioritization of targets. So, for example, Exoclock project, which is a support project for Ariel project, for Ariel spacecraft, decided to create own project, own website where there is prioritization, so they can get as much possible observations for their targets, for the targets of their spacecraft. So in 2021, we launched a collaboration with Exoclock, and so the mainly older, but also new observations from ETD will get it to their publication. The Exoclock uses another fitting procedure, so data are taken from ETD, used or fitted by Exoclock procedure, then the observer from ETD, gives permission, and if he gets permission, he or the data is published, and he becomes a co-author of the publication. So in the background of the ETD, there is web page and web server of our section of variable stars, which is a complex service about not only about exoplanets, but mainly eclipsing binaries. There were also other projects about physical variable stars. There are also O-C gates for eclipsing binaries and many other services for our observers. All was programmed by Luboš Brat, also the developer who programmed ETD, and is accessible at this address. The current solution has already problems. It is old technical solution from the year 2008. It also was programmed by one person, and different parts has been added. So there are duplicated parts of code, duplicated data, and databases. So it's heavy to maintain or to maintain. And now the programming is already obsolete, so it's hard to keep running even in some cases. And so Luboš decided to make a new project, which we call VAR-Astro project. What he says about it is it's mainly to get all these resources together and facilitate interaction. It should be an online tool for photometry and data processing, mainly platform for campaign and project management. And the main idea which Luboš has is to create such a network for observers and researchers. With the growing number of possible objects and observations and observers, it is very hard to maintain such a network or such a web page only by few administrators. So the idea is also trusted users will create and modify content and create projects, campaigns, and thus keeping VAR-Astro up to date. It will contain observation, scheduling, source of data for researchers, and technically it will be much better. It will be a responsive web application, also mobile application, and what is most important, based on REST API, there will be possibility to be interacted with databases and software. So this is the example of the programmed web page. The web page is under development by Luboš Brat and Jan Hickel. I think Jan Hickel is also joining this meeting, so maybe he can say some words about it. And so far, we expect that the beta testing of this web page will be possible this year in the autumn, somewhere. So Nevertheless, the current ETD still needs help. So not only current, but the next ETD, which will be part of the VAR Astro server. So if you want to help us, you can become either ETD editor, or if you have programming skills, you can join the development team if you are programming in .NET. And of course, which is also very important, you can give your feedback on ETD. If you have some ideas, just mail me or other administrators by this email, etdastro.cz. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your observation you uploaded, and thank you for joining this meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but like few questions and we need to move to next talk.